Hello, hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since we've done this in the evening and not on a Saturday. Hey, welcome, welcome. Hey, Book Twin, how are you? I'm so excited for this chat. Y'all have to pardon my voice. I have bronchitis, so I'm hopefully pray for me to get through this. Oh, I see Tia. Can y'all hear that fan blowing in the back? Let me know. I can turn it off. My volume's up. Hello.
Hello. How
How
are
are
you?
you?
Did I hear you say you have bronchitis?
I do. So I'm gonna try not to
Oh
cough
my
and do all the
God.
things.
That is
Yes,
horrible.
it is. It is horrible, but I'm
Oh,
gonna do my
geez.
best.
Okay.
How
Oh,
are you?
I'm
Good.
good. Much better than you.
This is actually my first day out of the bed. I got up just to do this. So,
Oh my gosh. What an honor. Thank
but
you.
no, the honor is mine that you are here with us. I can't believe it. I don't know
Oh,
if
of
you
course.
remember the first inaugural Well Read Black Girl Festival. That's where we met.
Is
I,
that where we
I
met?
met you there, um, and you signed copies of The Perfect Find. I will.
Oh
That's
my
that's when we
gosh.
first met.
That is
Yes. Mhm.
crazy. What was that?
Was
2017?
it 2017? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That
2017.
that is wild.
Hmm.
Oh my
We did.
gosh.
That was the first one. So it is an honor to have you here with us. I knew when I read this book, I was like, okay, this has to be part of our summer reading series. So thank you so much for saying yes.
Well, thank you for reading it. I'm so excited to talk to you
Listen,
about this book.
I, I, we're going to talk about this book, but I have to tell you, I literally absolutely adore all of your books. I'm a huge fan of 7 Days in June. And
Oh,
then when I picked this one up, so I'm gonna do a quick introduction, but I got to tell you
okay.
about my thoughts on. I have not stopped thinking about it since I read it back in February.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yes. So here's the thing,
Okay.
you guys. We are. What an honor for us to have Tia Williams here with us for our June Spine of the Month. A Love Song for Ricki Wilde was our first book in our summer reading series, and we are so excited to have you here with us. If you have any questions, please drop them in the questions box down below, and I'll try to get to them. But we're going to kick off right now, and let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about you before we dive into the questions about A Love Song for Ricki Wilde. So tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I am from Northern Virginia, right outside of DC, and I
Did I know this?
I don't know. Is that where you're from?
I went to high school in West Springfield High School.
I went to Woodson in
Shut
Fairfax.
what?
Yes, West Springfield. What?
Yes.
That's wild. I wonder if we
This
were there
is
at the same time.
um.
Probably
I mean,
not.
I graduated in '86, so
93. So we just missed each other. First of
we
all,
just
I
yeah.
thought that you were going to be like, I graduated in
No.
2002. Well,
No.
we know we don't
Right.
cross. That is a
We
given.
don't. So, oh my gosh, that is amazing. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. And I went to UVA. Like I'm a Virginia girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Um,
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, the summer I graduated in 97 from college, I moved to Brooklyn because I'd always had these two dreams. One was to be a fashion magazine editor, and one was to write books. And so I had this long career as a beauty editor of magazines like Elle and Glamour and Essence and Teen People and Lucky. And all along the way, I've also been writing novels. My first one was The Accidental Diva in 2004. And then I wrote two YA books, It Chicks and It Chicks 16 Candles. And then I took a big break and came back with The Perfect Find, which was turned into a Netflix movie starring Gabrielle Union last summer. And then
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then 7 Days in June, which was Reese's Book Club pick in June 2021. And now A Love Song for Ricki Wilde that pubbed in February.
And is it correct to say that 7 Days in June is going to be a TV series as well?
Yes. Yes.
I can't wait.
Prime Video. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't wait either.
I cannot wait, literally. So let's talk about A Love Song for Ricki Wilde, because I'm not a big magical realism person. And the whole time I said, where is Tia taking me? And then when I finally got to where you were taking me, I was like, okay, only Tia can make me fall in love with somebody who's not even like in the present, but in the present, in the past. I mean,
Right.
like, I absolutely love this book.
Oh.
So what was your inspiration for writing it?
Well, so the book is, so the idea came to me fully formed, which is something that never happens. And just like a brief summary of the book, it's about a florist in Atlanta who is the youngest daughter in this very prominent aristocratic family, and they all go into the family business. She wasn't having it. She loved flowers, and she kind of divorced them and moved up to Harlem to open her own flower shop. And there she meets a very mysterious musician, and they fall in love, but realize that their lives are connected in all these mysterious ways, and that their relationship is also connected to a scandal that went down during Harlem Renaissance time. So there's kind of a time jumpy aspect to the novel. And I have always loved the Harlem Renaissance. It's one of my niche nerd out obsessions. And I always wanted to write about it, but I'm not a historical fiction writer. So the idea of there being an element of it in this modern contemporary love story felt like a great way to, stretch my Harlem Renaissance wings, as it were. So the love story takes place in modern Harlem, but then there's this scandal simmering off, back in the 20s.
Gonna spoil it, but yes. And so tell me a little, because you said it came to you fully formed. So talk a little bit about that, because that's kind of like sometimes things don't come fully formed.
Yeah, they never do. Not for me. So I have insomnia. I was up one night and I just literally, it was like dropped into my brain. Haunted Piano, Enchanted Brownstone, Harlem Renaissance, kooky florist, and a pianist. And I had all of these elements, and I was like, what the hell am I to do with these things? Oh, and voodoo. And I just, by the time, I was up all night, and by the time, the sun rose, I had a story. Yeah, it was really, really,
really
odd the way it happened. Yeah, it was like a gift from somewhere.
A total gift. And so talk a little bit about, like, so it comes to you fully formed. By the morning you have a story, and then what's your craft like? Do you have an outline? Do you just start, like, what's your process for writing?
So are you familiar with plotter versus pantser?
You can share with the audience, okay. Yes, so they will know.
Okay. So in terms of writing, people say either you're a plotter or a pantser. If you're a pantser, you fly by the seat of your pants. So you don't have an outline, you sit down and you go. If you're a plotter, you plot. So you create an outline and you know what you're going to write before you sit down. And that's who I am. So I have a chronic illness. I have migraines daily, chronic every day. And I never know how bad it's going to be. So I don't know how much time I'm going to have when I sit down to write. So going with the flow is not my vibe. I need to sit down and know what I'm writing. So I outline to hell and back, like every chapter, all the beats in the chapter, everything that happens. Like I have to understand the entire book before I sit down to write it.
Really?
Yeah, everything researched, everything. I know the characters so well. I could drop them in any situation and know exactly how they would act. Like I'm not discovering a whole lot as I'm writing.
This is fascinating. So everything's plot and planned before you even start writing. The research is done,
Yeah.
all of that. I don't think I've
Hmm.
ever interviewed anyone who said this to me.
Really?
No, not in this fashion that, there's not a lot of discovery as they're going along. Most people they're discovering things as they're going along. So it's very
I know.
interesting.
There's some, but
Yeah.
it's small things. It's never going to be a big plot change or, yeah, it's smaller things that only I would notice. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And so you say that you're not a historical fiction writer, but you set the book in the time period of the Harlem Renaissance as well as, present day, right? And so can you
Hmm.
talk a little bit about that? How did you balance that? And what research did you do for the Harlem Renaissance? Because you capture it very well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I really, everybody has that thing that you can talk about for 4 hours,
Hmm.
given 4 hours, and an attentive audience. That's one of mine. Um, Harlem Renaissance and the 20s in general, just I love the 20s. I love silent films. I love the flappers. I
Yeah.
love Prohibition. I love Paris in the 20s. I love um, the the fashion, the music, the style, the
Yes.
books, the Lost Generation, Hemingway and Fitzgerald, and all the Harlem Renaissance um, writers that we know and love. Um, I love the society aspect of it,
Yeah.
W.E. Du
It's just
Bois' daughter's
glamorous.
wedding, with 2,000, fancy blacks. Like, please, I just want to go
Yeah. It's,
there.
it's
Um,
very glamorous
it's
for sure.
glamorous. And so I actually didn't have to do a ton
Hmm.
of research because I kind of had been waiting a lifetime to get all this stuff on the page. What I did have to research was florists, flowers.
Yes.
I do not know flowers at all. I didn't grow up in a flower house.
Hmm.
Um,
And so
what happened
let's
was,
talk about that. Yeah,
yeah,
because I want to explore that. Yeah, because that's one of my questions was like, the plant selection, the symbolism of the plants. Can you expound on that a little bit?
yeah. So I was, so in my beauty writing career, I also worked a lot as a beauty copywriter at beauty brands. So I was working as an editorial director at Estee Lauder companies, and obviously it's Estee Lauder. There's tons of fragrances,
Yes.
so I would write ad copy for perfumes. I would name perfumes. All this. In order to do this, you need to understand the story behind each fragrance, like what the perfumers were thinking. And so I would be on calls twice a week with, the French fragrance houses that would help Estee Lauder create these fragrances. And they're explaining to me like the different notes. And I got this flower education. And they're talking about the different florals and where they're cultivated and where in the world and what makes them, have these magical properties. We were doing this one perfume and it had night blooming
Hmm.
jasmine in it. And they were like in this, heavy French accent over Zoom, they're telling me, um, it is asleep during the day, and then as the sun sets, it blooms and it exudes this exotic, sensuous fragrance all night long. And then as the sun begins to rise, it goes back to sleep. And I was like, sign me up. I love it. Done. That is a character in a novel. I don't know what the novel is or when it's going to happen, but I love it. And I you know, bookmarked it in my brain. And I decided that my next protagonist was going to be a florist. Why I didn't think my next protagonist would be a perfumer, I don't know, but it ended up
Yeah.
being that, yeah, I was drawn to the flowers of it all.
Yes, because it really plays a prominent role in the book, right? I thought I could smell it literally while I'm reading and listening. The audiobook is fantastic.
Oh, I
The audiobook is
know.
fantastic.
Lily, yeah, they're
It-
geniuses in
yeah,
Preston. Yeah.
it's swoon worthy for sure.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
it is.
Thank
And so
you.
talk a little bit about the characters, and let's talk about Ricki, and let's talk about Ezra and why they work. Talk about the chemistry. How do you develop the chemistry between the characters?
So Ricki is, with Ricki's character, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Black excellence.
Mhm.
What does it mean? Who gets to define it? And she comes from this, old money Southern Black family, extremely linked and sororities and fraternities, and go to the right college and marry the right kind of guy, and,
Yes.
you know, all, the right clubs, the right art on the wall, all of that. And Ricki just doesn't want anything to do with that at all. And she goes off and defines what, Black excellence means on her own terms. And I kind of wanted to write about a free spirited character
Yes.
who, flies in the face of convention, because that's not how I am. And all of my characters are some aspect of me. Very type A, ambitious, you know, careerists, and I've always been jealous of the Denise Huxtable types that are like,
Yeah.
college, I don't know, I'm going to Africa and coming back with a sailor.
That's my daughter,
Um,
actually.
oh, really?
Mhm. She's very, very bohemian, you
Yeah,
know,
I
takes
love
chances
that.
and does all the things, will go anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it was a challenge for me to write about someone whose every move is the opposite of what mine would be.
Hmm.
And then I feel like she and Ezra have so much in common. He is also, you know, an artist. He's a musician, but they both create, beauty from nothing.
Yes.
She's growing flowers and plants, where nothing existed. She's, thinking up these beautiful, bespoke arrangements. He's composing
Hmm.
music in every genre. Um, and they're both kind of misunderstood geniuses who didn't fit in where they grew up, and leaving and moving to New York, moving to Harlem specifically, was life or death for them. They had to
Yes.
get out and spread their wings. And I think that binds them, their love of art and beauty.
And you also, really show the essence of Harlem, back then and in present day, the changes that are happening, within the city.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Why that was important for you to share that?
Yeah, so I've people that don't live in New York don't understand this, but I've lived in Brooklyn since 1997. I've been to Harlem maybe 5 times,
Hmm.
which is ridiculous. It sounds crazy, like it's right up there, you
Yes.
know, but it's Brooklyn and Harlem are so far apart, kind of like in terms of New York living, and it's just a totally different vibe. The times
Hmm.
I've been up there, they've been to do the most obvious touristy things, go to the Apollo, like someone's having a birthday at
Yes.
Sylvia's, it's never like I never knew Harlem as walking around and living there, and what the real vibes are like, right? So I had to go up there like a tourist, and take notes and sit in cafes and watch people, and and it is very different than Brooklyn. Um, and as I'm doing my research, I printed out a Harlem nightlife map in
Hmm.
the 1920s, and they have addresses of all these like iconic speakeasies and cabarets and restaurants, and where famous people's addresses, Lena Horne, Duke Ellington, like all this.
Hmm.
Um, and so I walked around with this map, like going to these addresses, and it would be like, oh, that's a Walgreens now, or like, you're be walking down a block and there'll just be a nondescript plaque on a side of a building that says, "Oh, Billie Holiday was discovered here singing in 1927 at 14 years old." And it just creeps up. It's like the past pushes against the present in these like really, you know, magical ways. It's like you can feel the imprint of so many different eras when you're walking along those streets. And that had a big, effect on obviously the story, and
Yeah.
Ricki's whole idea of making beautiful floral arrangements and leaving them at the addresses of these formerly iconic places that are now not iconic.
I think the thing I like, and someone said it in the comments too, that your characters and your stories are always so layered. Like you are reading, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm just wrapped in a huge, big, comfy blanket
Oh,
whenever when I'm reading your stories, because I don't know where it's going to take me, but I'm always so pleasantly pleased by the end. And so, one thing I want to ask you is talk about um, your readers' response to your characters. I've been seeing people on TikTok and Ezra on TikTok, and I've been seeing,
yeah.
and so just talk about like your response to how people are receiving these characters.
Well, the TikTok Ezra absolutely took me out. So there is this fabulous, hilarious, totally just charming model named Drew Thomas on TikTok, who kind of does these posts chronicling his life coming from small town Alabama and then suddenly getting these, not suddenly, nothing happens overnight, but, getting these huge campaigns and traveling all over the world. And he narrates his life with this like so charming, like old school kind of country voice. And since his following is obviously largely women, he started getting women in the comments being like, do you know you're Ezra Walker? Have you read A Love Song Ricki Wilde? And finally he was like, all right, who is Ezra Walker? You
Right.
guys keep saying I'm him. So he got the book, he read it, he read an excerpt on TikTok, and he was like, you know what? I am indeed him. I actually am this man. So it was really, really cute.
It was
Yeah.
so great to see. Um, Let me see. Here's some questions. Looking back on the journey of writing this book, what aspects of Ricky's story resonates with you the most?
Um, what aspects of her story resonate the most? I think really, so the one thing I do have in common with her is you know, the the blurred, the self-conscious, awkward black girl
Mm-hmm.
thing, social anxiety, like wanting to talk about crabs at a party, um, not really not really knowing that because of the way you present, people think they're going to get one thing, and then you open your mouth and you're not delivering what they thought they were going to
Mm-hmm.
get, and being really hyper conscious of that. It makes a weird tension when you're trying to be a normal person at a
Yeah.
party, um, or at any sort of gathering of humans. But I love that she found her people. She found her family. She found love, um, and she created a space where she was comfortable instead of being always a circle fitting into a square. Like she created her
Absolutely.
own, yeah, which you know, I love that she did that.
Yeah, I like that she just kind of, defined her own world, her own family, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, so at what point, because you said this story came to you fully formed, what made you want to put an element of magical realism into a story?
Well,
That's what threw me, because I typically don't read magic, but I said, you know what, I'm sticking with this because I don't care where it's going, and it's done so well. It's so good.
well, I didn't really think of it as now I'm going to do magical realism. It was really just the way I had to, there's a voodoo curse in here. So
Yeah.
I, that calls for some
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
And I am not a magical realism writer or, romantasy or any of that. And the people that really do it so well. Um, so the way I was thinking of it was, like the way I love Game of Thrones,
Mm.
right? Like I am not a fantasy person, I'm not any of that, but I thought of Game of Thrones as like, you know, a family dynasty saga, and with some dragons in the background.
Hmm.
And so this is just a contemporary love story with some magic
with
in the background,
magic
like the dragon
and some mystery. I
and
mean,
mystery.
major mystery.
Yeah.
It just has everything. Something
Oh, thank
for
you.
every.
Thank,
Definitely.
thank you.
I'm just waiting. I mean, do we know if this is going to be a movie or
We will
TV, or you can't?
know shortly. So yeah, I hope it all works
Oh,
out.
that
Yeah.
is. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so amazing. So
Oh, I hope it happens.
I hope.
Yeah.
Okay, we were saying it's going to happen. We're already there. We're there. So talk a little bit about Miss Stella, who I absolutely adored.
Yes, I love Miss Stella. So Ricki basically divorces her family in the beginning of the book. And so when she moves to Harlem, a place where she knows no one, it was very important for me to make sure she had people. Yeah, and she didn't know anyone. And so I thought of Miss Della as sort of, her de facto grandma, great grand. I mean, really, it would have been great grandmother. She was 94, I think. And I thought of this character when my For You page presented me with this fabulous older woman. It was her birthday. She was in a long red dress and had these like gray, this gray wavy bob, and she just looked so elegant and stunning and regal. And I'm like, who is this queen? And it was Jackie Robinson's widow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I fell into a rabbit hole about this woman who had this fabulous, almost centuries worth of greatness, behind her, but she was kind of living in the shadow of her extremely legendary
Mm-hmm.
husband. And I just kind of fell in love with that idea of living such a long life and being so many things, but sort of because of the times that you live in. And also, it was Miss Stella's choice. Not that she had that many other options at the time, but she took a backseat to her husband and the love of her life. And so, yeah, I got a lot of inspiration from her.
So that's another thing I did not know. Someone in the comments said it's they love when it's real life inspiration. So I did not know
Mm-hmm.
that either. So that's
Oh, yeah.
yes, because that was like the love of her.
Yeah, if you go
Yeah.
on my Instagram and scroll down, I think this was a couple months ago, maybe in March. I did a carousel of of what was on my Pinterest board. So I have the piano, what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I have Miss Stella. It's all there. So if you want to see her, yeah.
And so you said you love everything about Harlem Renaissance. So let's talk about the music and the jazz and that time period. Did you do any research for that, or you kind of like knew this already and just kind of wove it into the story?
I knew a lot of it, but what I didn't know was like the technical pianist situation of it all. Luckily, I am related to Jason Moran, who is probably like the most important jazz composer of my generation. And I interviewed him, and he gave me the beautiful nugget of Carolina Shout.
Mm.
And he told me that back in the day, they would have these sort of almost like, a rap battle where the pianist at the speakeasy would challenge all the pianists in the room. Harlem was filled with musicians at the time,
Yes.
to play this song composed by James Johnson called Carolina Shout. He also wrote the Charleston. We're all familiar with the Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really hard song on the piano, and it was really easy to embarrass yourself in front of this crowd. But if you didn't embarrass yourself, you were a legend. Um, so I loved thinking of it in terms of like rap battles and like it was like the hip hop of the time. And I read uh something like a Duke Ellington quote where he was like, what the DJ is, or like what the record player is, was what we
Mm.
were. Like the pianist set the vibe for the party. So it was like the main person. And then, for Ezra to be that guy and then have everyone forget who he is,
Yeah.
what happens there. So it just opened up a lot of interesting ideas for character development.
And so, aside from, the themes of what other themes do you want to explore in this book? I mean, I know we talked about like, self-discovery and finding your own way, identity, but what other things did you really want to explore um, with this story?
I think uh, I really wanted to write about Black people moved and inspired by beauty,
Hmm.
because it's so often thought of, the softer professions, artist, designer, painter, musician, um, showbiz people, that kind of thing, in Black and brown communities, like, has historically not been fostered by your family, because it's like not an immediate moneymaker, if ever a
Hmm.
moneymaker. Um, and, rightfully so, our families want to make sure that we're set up
Yes.
for the future. And running off to be a painter might not be it. Um, but, there's such a beautiful um, tradition, of Black artists, just moved by aesthetic expression. And so I wanted to write about characters who chose that, those paths. And that's who Ricki and Ezra are. Like,
Hmm.
they're moved by the scent of something. They're moved by stationery, or, a perfect note, or, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I absolutely adore it. And I also like the way that Ezra is full, just full of feelings, emotions, caring, charismatic. I love the way that he shows up on the page for her and for himself. And so, can you
Mm-hmm.
talk a little bit about that? Because I mean, I think oftentimes in society we don't get that side of Black men.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're not there, but I'm just saying, what media or whomever projects, we don't get that side typically of Black men. So talk about how you developed that character and the way that he came through on the page.
Yeah, I just think that's annoying. And I like for my Black male characters to have been to therapy.
Yes.
I think it's important, and it shows. Like, he's
Hmm.
had a life coach for a very long time. And he has, I think, I don't know, life is hard
Yeah.
enough. Like,
Yes.
I feel like when people come together, like, the best relationships come out of people that have already done emotional work, so that and that's not to say you don't have, you know, fucked up things about you, or you're not toxic, you're not, but it's knowing where your toxicity
Yes.
comes from and
Absolutely.
why it's happening. It's understanding why this makes you weird. It's when you've explored your, emotional life in that way, it makes you the best partner. If you haven't, so often as Black women, we have to do the work to help you figure, yourself out and uncover all those layers. And for so long, that's been held up as like, um, almost, like the ideal woman,
Yes.
uh,
The cape that
uh,
everyone should put on.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do not believe in that
I
at
don't know.
all. Like, no part of me believes in having to raise a man.
Yes. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah,
Um, but I know I sometimes I think in people's younger years, you do those things because you grow together. I don't know if it's
sure.
later in life that you adjust or shift gears. Um, but someone else said the same thing. They love your male characters, their openness and their
Hmm.
vulnerability. So let's talk about from your first book to this book. And this is also a question that I wrote down, but someone else also said something about it. How have you changed as a writer? Did this story really stretch you? How have you grown? What have you learned about yourself as a writer?
Um, I I think just with age and experience, and experiencing new things, and you know paying attention. you can't help but grow
Mhm.
as a writer. I notice everything. Um, you know, you just keep a collection of, like, I have a whole list of things in my head. There's like a queue of interesting things that I note and stick in line. And when I sit down to develop, a book, I'm like, oh yeah, that was good. Or, oh yeah, in Beetlejuice, when they died, they had like, they were assigned a caseworker that
Yes.
helped them figure out, that maybe I could use that somewhere. Or, you just, and I mentioned that because if you've read Ricki Wilde, you know what I'm talking about.
We're not giving,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
without giving it away. I'm just always like paying attention, and I think that really helps your writing grow.
Yeah. And so I one thing about this book, and I don't want to give anything away, but you community is a big thing, and I think that's important for Black girls.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, like you said, we make our own community if it's not found within our family. And so, can you talk a little bit about why that was so important for you in this book, in particular?
It was important in this book because she's all alone.
Mm-hmm.
She had. I didn't want her to be alone because her family is not great,
No,
but she's not a person. Um,
her sisters are not great, like
no,
sisters.
her sisters are not great. They're not great. And so, and there's some characters that are loners, and there are people that are loners, and that's cool. But she's not.
Right.
Like, she needed people. So, yeah, it was important for her to find the family that she didn't grow up with,
Mm-hmm.
and it was also, so, and I gave her like a sister in Tuesday and a grandma in Miss Stella. And
Mm-hmm.
so Harlem became her home.
It really did become her home, and I think she really, because she was craving love,
Mm-hmm.
even in her relationships that weren't so great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So my next question is, if you can answer this, what's next? What's coming next? Are you writing right now? We're anxiously waiting.
Yes, so I have a book coming in, it's pubbing May of 2025.
Oh,
And I just finished writing it. It's a YA novel. And if you are familiar with 7 Days in June, there was the daughter of the protagonist. Her name was Audrey. She was 12 in 7 Days in June. And now this is 4 years later, and this is a YA about Audrey. And it's the summer after her, well, it starts on the last day of junior year, and she's realizing that she is a model teen. She's president of her class. She's president of the debate club. She's this, she's that girl. But she doesn't know how to have fun. And so she hires a local bad boy to teach her how to have fun
I
for the
literally want
summer.
to scream, but I can't. I am. I just love how your mind works. Oh my gosh, and I
Yeah,
know it's going to be amazing.
it's so cute. So I'm going to reveal the title soon. So stay tuned.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay, another question I have for you. Can we talk? They said this is going to crash book talk. Exactly. Absolutely, 100%.
Crash it. Let's crash
100%.
it. Yes.
Listen, if you need anybody to reveal the cover, I'm here for all the things. I will do it all,
Okay.
literally. So
I
going
love
into
it.
covers, how hot is this cover? I couldn't find my copy of 7 Days in June. Like, who picks the covers? Who designs the covers? What role do you have in? Because the covers are stunning.
I know. I wish I could say I have to give it up for the design department at Grand Central Publishing. Oh my God. Because literally all I say is I'm not a visually, oriented person really. I don't know how to describe what I like. So really I'm always just like iconic black love. And then they will turn around and give me 7 Days in June, or yeah, like this was um three different colors. So there was the purple and blue is what we landed on, but then there was like an orangey red one, a peachy teal one, and something else. And it was the purple with that sheen on it. It felt, because it's a winter book, you know,
Yes.
it takes place in February, you know, the leap month, leap year. And so
Leap year.
we wanted it to have sort of that, not icy, but like a little bit cooler
Yes.
feeling. Yeah, I love it. I think it's gorgeous.
I just recall, like, when I was coming up and books that I was reading, you would never see this on the
Mm-mm,
front of a book. I mean,
no.
black male women, full lips. I mean, just us in our grandest beauty. It's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's gorge.
I
I
mean,
love it. It makes me excited every time I see it. Seriously, it just
it's
pops.
yeah, it's so stunning. And then I wanted to show 7 Days in June. That one as well was just oh, it was just so sexy.
Oh,
It was so
thank
sexy.
you.
So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
they,
so
they
lucky.
do a great
They
job for
do, and
sure.
authors don't always love their covers.
Yeah,
So I am very lucky. Yes.
yeah, they did a fantastic job. So let me see if I think someone had a question here. I don't want to miss it. Oh yeah. So someone asked if writing your stories, do they ever make you cry? Because I'm not a big crier for books, but I think I dropped a tear or two in this book,
Oh
and
yeah.
definitely in 7 Days in June.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
What's Yeah, definitely. But what's funny is that my biggest crying whilst writing was The Perfect Find. Um, I cried the whole time. And I
Really?
wept at the ending. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I really, really did. And I wrote it during a really tough time in my
Mhm.
life. It felt like my last grasp at any sort of literary relevance. You know, if that hadn't worked out, I may have, no, I was never going to stop writing, but I may not have wrote another book. Um, I'm getting choked up now.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
please, I can't.
nope,
So,
nope, nope. I just sucked it up. Yeah, and I was very invested in their story and their
mhm.
love, and I wanted to give them a happy ending. And yeah, yeah, you get, when you write about, you know, love and romance, like you have to get invested and fall in love with the characters in order to make a reader fall in love with the
Mhm.
characters. And so it's hard to find a boundary between you and the characters. Like you're in there with them,
Right.
and yeah, it can be very emotionally taxing.
I exactly, and I feel all of that coming from you through your characters. I mean, it's so exquisite. I'm telling you, and I'm not a big romance reader, or I just I love your books. Like
Oh,
for me, anything you put out, I'm gonna read it.
ah,
Literally, I, I
thank
love your
you.
books. Um, and so when you talk about it being emotionally taxing, how do you what does self-care look like for you when you're going through all of these emotions writing a book?
I am the incorrect person to ask about that. And I'm always asked about that, but I don't have any. And my girlfriend Trisha always drags me for this. Like, you know, you just wrote out an entire book. Like, do something for yourself. Like, celebrate. Like, do a spa day. Like, do, you know, I just want to keep going. I'm like, okay, what's next? I have to write another book now. Like, I'm already. Uh, I took my daughter to get acrylics today, and we were brainstorming the next book. Uh, was I
Already.
getting my nails done? No, she was. I don't treat myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a factory. I'm a machine. I have so much that I want to get out. I'm afraid if um, and I've been waiting so long to have this audience,
Mhm.
you know, now that I I have her. I want to keep her.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I have stuff to do.
I don't think you're going to have any issues with keeping the audience at all, like at all. I'm just so thrilled. And do you ever see yourself going back to a story or extending the characters out for any previous books?
I do love Tuesday. I do love Tuesday from Ricki Wilde. And now that I, for the first time, went back to a character and wrote a whole book about her, Audrey, I see that I can do that, so, one never knows. Sure.
Oh, that's awesome. It is so, I mean, it has, gosh, I'm so excited. I wish I was like, my voice was better. I apologize for that, but
no.
Totally appreciate you saying yes to the live. And I'm thrilled that we picked your book, because I'm telling you, after I read it, I just could not stop thinking about it. I'm like, I have got to. And I know you were like doing all things with the perfect fine. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get her to come on, but we're still going to pick this book and I'll talk about it with the people. So thank you so very much.
Of course. It has been an honor, and I cannot believe that you did this with bronchitis. So please drink your tea and rest now.
I am totally, and I can't wait for the next book. I wish you all the best, and I'm waiting for when the cover drops.
Yes.
And then we're going to have an announcement that this is probably going to end up on TV or a movie somewhere. All the good things.
Hope so.
Thank you so much. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.